Now the second video on electrical is when you're going to be running higher amp draw accessories. If you're running things like 3 or 4 LED roof lights, those can draw 300 to 700 watts each. They can draw 15 to 20 amps a piece. It's essential to make sure that you have the proper gauge wire for the amperage that you're going to be drawing. And there are sites online that will calculate that for you. All you have to do is add up all the wattage that you're going to be using. For example, if you have 4 LED light bars that are rated at 300 watts a piece, that means if you're running all 4 at once, you have 1200 watts that you're pulling. Then from there, it's going to ask you how long of wiring are you going to have. For example, are you going to have 5 feet of wiring, or are you going to have 15 feet of wiring? And it makes a big difference, because the longer the wiring, the thicker it may need to be to handle that type of wattage. So what I've done for my higher amp accessories is this. I have a 0 gauge power wire coming off the post here that goes to a 100 amp breaker, and I rated it based off of what accessories I'm going to be running off here, and I determined that it was not going to exceed 100 amps. So I got a 100 amp breaker. So I have my power here, my ground here, my power wire, my ground wire. For me, I ran it up through here, up and over to here. It's not hooked up now, so there's no worry about shocking, because I have a overhead panel that's gonna house the switches, and that's where the light bar wiring is going to run into. It's going to run into there, and let me go show you how that's wired in more. So don't remember, here you have the 0 gauge positive and ground. It's about 12 to 13 feet worth. Now from there, here's the overhead console. It's going to house the other electronics. So you have your power wire that's 24 volts going to here. You have your ground wire from that primary post going to here. My apologies, I made a mistake. Your ground is here, okay. My primary 24 volt wire is going to go to this post. This is a switch underneath here. It's just this is a battery cutoff switch that's rated for high amperage. You have to make sure you get a switch that's designed for high amperage cutoff. So the 24 volts goes to here. 24 volts is going to here. So all these posts are 24 volts. Here's my primary ground. Now from here, if I want to run light bars that use 24 volts, I can power them off of this post. I can essentially run the power to a relay, and then to the light, and then put a switch in here and run a switch from the switch to the relay, so I don't have high amperage going through the switch. Or if I know that my light draws 15 amps. Let's just say that the light draws 15 amps. I can get a 20 amp switch and run the light directly through the 20 amp switch, especially since it's a short distance. Okay? Or if I want to run 12 volt accessories up here, which is what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to run a power wire, 24 volt power wire from here to a 24 to 12 volt converter like I had in the other video. Then you'll have 12 volt coming out, and that 12 volt is going to go to the primary post. And then all of these, I can put fuses in all these, and I can run 12 volt accessories in all these posts. Here's my ground. I run a ground wire to here, and that ground wire goes here directly to the battery post. So again, I can ensure that I have a good ground because I'm not grounding off the chassis or anything. So for example, here's a radio, power wire, it's fused, ground, so the ground on the radio. So I know I have good power, now I have a good ground, it's 12 volt. Ham radio, 12 volt and ground again. I'll run 12 volt to here, and I'll run a ground to here, so I have good power and ground. So that's probably the best way to be running 12 volt accessories through your 24 volt system Humvee.